Hi everybody, this is Ellie. Thanks so much for joining me today for a video where I chat through how I chose my planner for 2023 and I begin the migration process. I'll say it at the outset, this is not a setup video. I do plan to film those, they'll be coming out over the next month and a half, but this video in particular is going to talk about why I decided to move out of the Wonderland 222, which I have been loving this year, what I'm moving into, and then going through this planner and kind of figuring out where these spreads will be in the next one. I guess I'll start by saying that I have been in this B6 Wonderland 222 since January of this year, and I have really loved this planner. I'll probably film a quick flip through at some point of the entire thing, but it has been wonderful. Things I have loved have been the weekly overview. I like the paper. I actually really loved having the months embedded throughout the year. I didn't think that I would. I thought I preferred them at the front, but it turns out I don't. I just really like having them throughout so I can tab them and then just flip to and see kind of all the weeks when I'm flipping to my current one. I didn't know I would like that. I really do. It's not a deal breaker for me either way, but I was a big fan of this. I was also coming to this planner after a bullet journal, and while I still absolutely love the bullet journal system, I consider myself a bullet journaler at heart still, I needed something with a lot more structure, and this gave it to me. I figured out how to make it work, and I have been pretty consistent with it. The only things I really don't love about the Wonderland 222 is the stacked weekend, which I know is a deal breaker for a lot of people, especially if you don't work Monday to Friday jobs. I do work Monday to Friday, so this wasn't as big of a deal for me as it could have been, but it's still not my favorite. Other than that, this has been great. The reason though that I'm deciding to change is that I was starting to feel just a little bit cramped. I know that I always had the option for the blank pages in the back or even adding in another insert, but I just don't like the feeling of not being able to write down, for example, every task list or note that comes into my head throughout the day because I'm worried about saving space. And I know that if this is something I'm noticing now, it's something that I will continue to amplify until it really bothers me next year. So with that in mind, I decided that I wanted a little bit more space, and to me that means kind of freedom for next year. I considered going back to a bullet journal. This is always going to be one of my favorite systems. I was in this for most of 2021, and I just absolutely, Desi, I just absolutely loved it. I love being able to just write as much or as little as I want on a given day, to put my collections in throughout. Oh boy, I did not flip through this before starting to film, and yeah, this just gives me all the feels and lets me know that I want to go back. But I also need to remember that there was a reason I moved out of the bullet journal. And when it came to the end of the year, well, I think this was mid-October last year, I was just having a lot of trouble getting in here without that dated format. So basically, I wanted something that kind of married these two systems, something that let me feel a lot more space and flexibility, but also had enough of a dated structure that it would pick me up when I needed it. So with that being said, I've mentioned it before, you probably won't be surprised, but I have decided on the take a note in the A5 for 2023. This is a beautiful planner. It is from a Taiwanese company, and it also has Tomoe river paper, although it is the 68 GSM. I'll be flipping through and chatting about some of the features as I plan what spreads will go where, but there are other videos that are very, very detailed with those things, and if you want to see, for example, comparisons with Hobonichi cousins and everything, I'm pretty sure you can find a few YouTube videos on that if it would be helpful. I will go very briefly through the layout so that we can see where it kind of marries these two things. So we have the yearly index here, and then this planner has all the monthlies at the front. How funny that I realized I prefer them embedded and I'm now moving back to this. Like I said, it's not a deal breaker for me, although I will have to figure out how I want to use tabs in this planner. I didn't think I would love having monthly tabs either, but it turns out that I really, really did. So that's something I still haven't decided on. Then we move right into the weekly spreads, and this is the main difference. Instead of having the week on one page like the Wonderland 222 does, it has it spread out over 4 pages or 2 spreads. The other thing I really love about this is that it does have a weekly overview here. So Monday through Sunday, this I see as a place to have any of those kind of high-level events, appointments, birthdays scheduled here, and then just a lot of flexibility in these columns. You'll notice when I was flipping through my bullet journal, I very, very rarely had a day where I used an entire column. So this is also an A5, so I am certain that the take a note will have enough space for me. In fact, one of my biggest concerns about moving to the take a note was that it would actually have too much space for me. So I ordered these as pre-order, and I did end up getting the A5 and the A6. So let me just show you the A6 as well. I love how these come packaged, and my goodness, is this A6 adorable. So you can see here, it's tiny, it's half the size, right? So that's A6 there. Same spine thickness and same layout as well. Everything is just obviously much smaller. There's less space on the bottom here. Again, there are comparison videos, but since we're here, I'll show you. These calendars are much smaller, and then we come to the weeklies. So the grid is smaller on the A6. I don't have the exact measurements for you guys, but when it came to figuring out space, I did do some counting. So the Wonderland 222, this section is 30 squares down with an additional 7 here if you want to use it that way, and 9 across. And then the weekends are 20 down. The A6 has 43 down, but again, the grid is very, very small, and 14 across. And the A5 has 52 down and 18 across. So while I am sure that I could make this work, it just still feels a little bit cramped to me. And I know that's in my head. I know that's a little bit of a mental hurdle, but it's also something that I know I'm feeling. And if that's the problem with my Wonderland 222, I certainly don't want to move into another system that, although it is a little bit different, it still has that same feeling. So ultimately, I decided that I will go with the A5 Take a Note. It makes me feel like there is so much space. Again, probably too much space, but I'm going to give myself grace with it this year. If you follow Amy at Rustling Pages on Instagram, I will link their account below. But I absolutely love how they have used the A5 Take a Note this year. It looks like it has been a lovely mix of functional and decorative. And when they haven't filled up the whole column with tasks, they have used the extra space for little collections or lists or journaling or notes. And I really, really love that. And I kind of see myself using it that same way. We will see, obviously. I expect that this will evolve, but I am really, really excited to give it a try. Last year, I did a mini 2-part series on finding your decorative style and also finding your functional style, or how to choose a planner. If this is something you're still working through, I will link the video, but in the video, I listed a few questions to ask oneself when you are trying to choose what system will work for you. And so I will go through them really briefly here. Why do I want a planner? I know I want it as a place where I can have all of my tasks written out and also have space for memory keeping. What do I want to keep track of? Right now, I don't think I'm going to focus too specifically on habits so much as just knowing that I want to keep track of my day-to-day life and have the space that invites me to do so. Is there a format I prefer? Yes, I prefer vertical, and this planner gives that to me. Where will I use it? Mostly at home, mostly at my desk, sometimes when I'm meeting up with planner friends, and when I'm working, this will also be coming back and forth because I do want to keep everything in this one planner. That is how I function best. And how and when will I incorporate it into my routine? I want this to feel like my bullet journal or as close to it as possible. I want to be in and out of this, feeling free to jot down any thoughts or any tasks as they come up. It's funny because when I first started this channel, I was in a pocket-sized bullet journal, which I loved, and now I am in an A5. I love the portability of the pocket size, but I have since come to realize that while convenient, that's not really a factor for me. I don't have to do a long commute usually. I'm not usually taking public transit, so it's not a huge deal to have the A5 in a bag with me when I do need to take it out. So all things considered, I do think this will work best for me in 2023. It's not perfect, of course. I don't think any system necessarily is. There are always things that we might want to change or take away or add in, but I don't expect it to be perfect. I just make it work and have fun doing so. Let's talk about migration. I believe that is a bullet journal term, so that is from Ryder Carroll's system and his book. And to me, it basically means moving things forward with you. Whether that is a task that still needs to be completed, whether that is a collection or a practice that is really working for you. And that is what I want to do here. I want to go through my Wonderland 222, figure out what spreads I want to keep, and start thinking about where they will go for me in this system. On a side note about migration, when I say I'm a bullet journaler at heart, I think I mean it's because I still love to list out everything that comes to mind, every task I have, even if I know it might be done later in the week. I don't mind writing it out and then just migrating it day to day. I know that can become tedious for a lot of people and for me too. And at some points I have just not done that because I was tired of rewriting it. But in general, it really does help me. So I'm excited to get back to that in this layout. But anyways, I think the best way for me to do this is to keep this off to the side and show you guys how I usually do this. This is a simple process for me. I just take some sticky notes, a pen, I need some scissors after, and we'll get going. So I know I want my goals in here. Right now they're in my actual leather cover, but they have been sitting here for most of the year. Okay, so there's my goals. Goals in Word are always one spread. I want my color palette again for sure. Index. You can see here, did not touch it. It's funny because I made an index here and I also made one here for these back pages and I did not use either. That being said, I am going to write it and I'll chat through why in a little bit. Okay, didn't do anything here. So here I was trying to track movement and meditation. As we can see, that was not consistent. I'm not going to start the year with that. If I want to add it in, I will. I do need to track my cycle though, so I will keep that here. Here I tracked some social media stuff, so I do want to do this again. So I'll just call that social media numbers. And I also really want to try and keep track of the videos I post. Oh no, I love this pen. Have I finally finished the ink? I think we're coming to the end, guys, but I'll see if there's a little more. I didn't end up using these tracker pages because I like putting them right in the dailies. Oh, we have a lot of pen test pages. Nope. Oh, okay, guys. Well, it's a good pen and it's very satisfying to finish it. I'll see if I can get a refill. Okay, let's go blue. Yeah, these are all pen test pages. Then we get into the weeklies. So let's go to the back where I did set up some collections. So the way I set up this section is that I put all of the collections that I started the year with, I worked back to front. And then throughout the year, as things came up that I wanted to add in, I started in the front and worked my way back. Oh, one very important thing I forgot to mention is that this only has 4 blank pages in the back, so I am going to use an insert with it. I still have these A5 memo notebooks from last year that I never used, so I think, I'm not sure which color I want to use yet or if I'll decorate them. Okay, that doesn't matter right now, but suffice it to say, I will be using one of these. It's the gridded Tomoe River paper, A5 size. I think I still have another one. So I have 3 of these. I probably won't even use one for the year, but it's nice to know I have backup. And the reason I want to use these is, first of all, I love how thin they are. The cover is durable, and I just really like the sizing, how it can slip right in. One of the things I've noticed is I think I like to actually be able to take my insert out and have kind of my weekly spread open, as well as the insert with any sort of jot notes or brain dump or anything I want to do. So I need to also factor this in to when I'm doing my migration. Let's start at the back, which is what I did, and we'll go from there. So do I want a spread for just a kind of planner related thoughts or anything? So here I just had thoughts, things I want, learning Procreate, and some video suggestions that you guys gave me. So yeah, I think a planner collection will be good. So planner, had a section for personal and for work. I do still like that, although obviously I didn't use it. Personal, no, I will leave a section for work though. It just gives me peace of mind to have it. It might just be a much smaller section. These were not successful at all, so I wanted to keep track of things coming in and out. I'm not going to try and do that again this year. Closet, I don't mind having a section for that. It won't be an in and out section. It's just, I like to try and be much more intentional about kind of holes in my closet, pieces I want to get. So having a running list of that might be helpful, although it might be better just as a collection as needed. We'll see. Watching, this list didn't work out. I do my monthly reflection spreads, so that is probably enough. I'm not going to include that right now. Oh, the Marvel rewatch spread. Oh, guys, we got stuck on Loki. I think maybe including TV series in here isn't the way to go. Just go movies for now. Oh, isn't this just such a cute spread? I love it so much. I don't think I'll transfer this whole thing over right now. Baseball, yes, but I will put that in when the season starts again. Health, yes, I will keep a little health spread in my next journal. Ooh, when did I last? This was a good one for me. I added this partway through the year. When did I last? I'm not going to bother putting in, this was supposed to be a weekly tracker. I set it up insofar as I wrote 1 through 52, but clearly never ended up tracking anything, so that's fine. One thing I need to remember is that I can always add things in. I tend to get in my own head and treat this like this concrete decision. I have to decide right now before the concrete is poured because then it is immovable. No, that is not the case. These are flexible systems. We can add and change things as we need to. And so that gives me a lot of freedom when I start getting stressed about making it perfect. And then we'll just go through here and see if there's anything that I want to kind of make a permanent collection, start the year with. So I added some recommendations. I still need to work through those. I might actually transfer some of those over, but that's not a need. Nope. Nothing here. Challenges, Procreate. Oh, that's when we went to Wonder Pens. I went with Maria, Cecilia, and Dale. That was so fun. Notes for my reading journal. Oh, you know what? I will keep a kind of social media ideas page. I think that's what I'll call it. That's helpful just to be able to refer to. This is funny. I was trying to write, I had a couple of Post-its around with different pieces of content that had been recommended by YouTubers I follow or like an article or something. So I was trying to write it down, but I was watching some lawyers on YouTube. So instead of writing content rec, I wrote contact. I left it because it's funny. And 2023 plans. So not too much back here. And I think we have pretty much, oh, you know what I didn't put in is these here, my reflect and look ahead spreads, because I don't have these pages in the take a note. So we need to get creative there. Okay, so what I'm just going to do now is go ahead and cut these into strips. I like to do this sometimes just to take away a little bit of the tackiness. I find that sometimes if I put it on right away and then peel it up, especially on thin Tomoe River paper, it just leaves a little bit of a wrinkle. And it's not the end of the world, but if I can stop that, I will. Okay, now comes the fun part where we get to put the pieces together. I can tell you guys what I've been thinking here. Okay, let me try and move these. They're sticky, so just want to make sure we are all in frame and go from there. So, okay, one of the big pieces for me is that there's no kind of blank pages at the front where I would normally like to do my goals and my word of the year. I like that front and center and easily accessible. I also plan to keep this in a cover where this is probably slipped in here. So I might end up doing a tip in, I might end up doing a card situation. So by card, I mean something like this again. I really, really love how this turned out. So we will see, but I will just kind of put this in the front right now because I'm still considering different options for this one. I have no idea what I'm going to use these for. It's not a priority for me. Oh, but I am going to track my cycle over here. I am also considering making the weeks a health tracker, a health and wellness tracker of sorts. Even if I do that though, I want my cycle in here as well. So I think this will be perfect. I have never used this spread for anything else, so cycle will be good. And this will be interesting. I thought for a while about this, and because there is so much space, I think I can actually make this a very useful spread. I'm thinking that in these top sections is where I will keep my monthly color palette. I love the idea of that, and I think it will look really, really lovely at the end of the year. So let's find that. Color palettes. So those will go here. And I have never really found ways to use this successfully either, except in my Hobonichi Cousin, I did write down the YouTube videos that I posted. For this particular notebook, because I do think I will have collections or little lists and memories at least embedded throughout my dailies, this is what I will plan to use as an index. So if on a day I write something that I might want to be able to refer back to or find again without paging through everything, I will jot it down here. I have no idea if that will actually function like I'm thinking, but I will give it a try and see. And that means at the bottom here, because there is so much space, I will keep I'll probably extend this line down, and I'll keep my social media numbers up here as well as the videos that get posted that month. I don't post more than 4 videos, usually 1 a week. maybe 5, sometimes less than 4. It depends, guys, but I do want to be able to keep those in here. Did I write that somewhere? Oh yes, videos posted. So I think that will work really, really well for me. So that'll be these 2 spreads. And then we come to the monthlies. So I mentioned that one of the things that did give me pause about this was the fact that there were no pages where I could make these spreads. I could make them in my journal, but I just really love having them in my planner. And then I realized that these Take a Note monthlies have a lot of extra space, and I can use that. So I've already counted. I could transfer this over here, and I think it could work really well. There is a possibility that this all feels too cramped for me, but I won't know until I try. So I am going to do just that. I'm giving myself permission, like I do with all of my planners and journals and notebooks, to try something. If it doesn't work, I will flip the page. Every monthly doesn't need to look the same and likely won't. So we will see what happens, but I am excited to give this a try. I don't know what I would use this for otherwise. I'm not in the big habit of flipping back and forth to my monthlies because I did consider, do I want to use this for maybe like a weekly to-do list, or do I want to use this to kind of plan out some Instagram posts? But I think this is my best bet. If I do want to see my Instagram posts on a monthly layout, it's easier for me to see it in a calendar format. So we will see, but we have the reflect and look ahead. I'm not quite sure what I want to do with the look ahead spreads. I'm thinking I might want to put these on the last Sunday of every month, but I don't know if that makes sense either. I could do it here at the bottom because most of the months have this full section and I don't need very much. I just have a couple of questions. I'll put it here for now. I'm also going to write Sunday in case that's something I want to try. There's this section here I could also use, but I'm thinking this section here might be nice for my little sticker memories. Or I also considered kind of dancing those across the top like their own little banner instead of putting like a monthly sticker or washi there. Again, we will play around and see. But that being said, I do want to write that so I remember it. So I'll put that up here for now, but I just kind of need to know that it will all be together here in my monthly spread. The pen test, I'm not sure if I just want to try and keep that here in December or if I'd prefer to keep it at the back. Probably the back in this notebook actually, because it will be easier. Sorry, I do like to see it somewhere where I can, you know, see the backside pretty clearly. I think we'll just start it here, the pen test. Yeah, I think I'll just honestly keep all of these back here. Totally fine. And everything else, I believe, will just go into my memo notebook. So all of the collections, health, yep, planner. Oh, I was like planner. Maybe I should write planner collection here so that I don't look at that again and think, what is this? Okay, I don't know which one of these I'm going to use, and I do want to keep this kind of all together right now. So let me just put these here until I'm actually planning out my memo book. I don't know if I still want to start from the back and then work my way forward again, or you know what I mean, start from the back with kind of the core ones and then work my way from the front with anything I want to add throughout the year. I did like that system. I wonder how it would feel if I'm just pulling it out though and starting. That could work just as well, because the idea here is I think that I'll have this tucked into a cover and this slipped right in. See, that's why I love these Hobonichi memo books. Like, look at how well that fits without sticking out. I did consider getting like a thicker insert from Good Impressions because I love her work and I love that you can get exactly what you need, but I'm going to start with this. I already have them too, so huge bonus there. And yeah, we're getting much closer to the actual setup process, which I will share. I'll probably try to film it, but if that ends up being too complicated or too long, in the past I've stretched that out over several days just because I enjoy it. But if that happens, I'll just film it once it's complete and walk you through it. But I think you'll have a good idea. There's not actually a ton to set up, to be honest with you. I kind of just know where things will be and I will fill it in as I go. I don't think I'll need to get any stickers in terms of monthly stickers for this spread. I don't know if I mentioned either, but I love the simplicity and the colors chosen for this planner. I like the brown as the emphasis instead of a red. I also really like how light the grid is. I know that's not ideal for everybody, so if that's something you have trouble seeing, this might not be the choice for you. But for me, I prefer a lighter grid because a darker grid makes things feel really busy and cluttered to my eye. So I'm also excited to see about this 68 GSM Tomoe River paper. I've used it before in a small insert, but it wasn't a daily writer for me, so I think it'll be fun to have a little bit of the thicker paper that still gives me that lovely feeling and sound when I'm flipping the pages. I will continue to share my thoughts with you guys for 2023, and I'd love to know how your systems are shaping up. Do you know what you'll be using? Have you started planning and setting them up yet? Please feel free to let me know in the comments. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. If you like this video, please feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.